I hope that you're well and also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today we'll be doing our grade 2 English lesson on to be and to have. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English Language Arts. Grade 2. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter of to be and to have. All right. So our chapter is to be and to have. Our subject is English Language Arts, grade 2. And the lessons that we're going to be doing under the chapter of to be and to have is to use, firstly, to be, to use the correct form, and to have, to use the correct form. All right, so when it comes to be, right, where we need to use the correct form, then we are specifically talking about the verb, right? So we're specifically talking about the verb. And in this case, the verb is irregular, right? So the verb to be and the verb to have is irregular. And remember, when the verb is irregular, and then it means that there's no rules that we follow to in order for us to be like, okay, you must just add an ed or you must add a d in order for the verb to change, right? So, which means that if it's irregular and then there's no rules that it follows, you're just going to have to remember its form. All right, so the verb to be. So we say the verb to be is irregular and it does not follow the rules that most of the verbs follow. You're just going to have to remember the forms of the verb, right? So we will have our subject, which is either the person, animal, or thing that we are talking about. And then we will check the present tense as well as we will check the past tense form of that specific subject or more like of the specific verb. And then we also have to have, right? And to have is also irregular and it does not follow any rules that most verbs follow. So, which means that you're just going to have to remember the form. All right. So, when the verb to be, right, we're first going to focus on the verb to be. And we say that the verb to be is irregular. Remember, with it being irregular, it doesn't follow any rules that most verbs do. You're just gonna have to remember the forms. All right. So if we have a subject which is I, right? If we have a subject that is I, and we want to say, let's say maybe something that I'm doing now, then we can say I am washing the car. And in the past, we can say I was washing the car. So now, if we also look at the word, like for example, I am washing the dishes, right? But now in the past tense, I can say I was washing the dishes. And then if we have our subject, which is either he, she, or it, right? If that is our subject, then our present tense form will then be is. So we will be like he is, she is, it is. All right. So we can say he is, she is, or it is, right? And if we want to make mention of it in the past, right, in the past tense, and then we can say he was, or she was, or it was, as well as, so that is he was, she was, or it was. Because that now shows the past tense as well as the present tense. All right. And you know when they say that there's no regular, there's no um rules that you need to follow, you're just gonna have to remember the forms. The same here, we see you, were, we, they. It refers to more than one subject, right? And we say you, we, they, and our present tense form is are. All right, so we can say you, we, and they were. So it's like more than one person were, one person was or is. Now we also have the verb to have, right? And to have, we also said is irregular, and it does not follow any rules that most verbs follow. All right, so we see that even with the verb to have, right, it doesn't follow any rules, and you're going to have to remember the forms. So we say that we're going to have to remember the rules. So it's not like we're saying you need to add this or add that in order for it to change to either the past tense, the present tense, or so on, right? You're just going to have to remember it. So if we look at our subject, right? So just like we did with this one, right? So we're going to look at our subjects. Oopsie. So we're going to look at our subject. So we have I, you, we, they. And I, you, we, they, we can say they have. And in the past, we say had. Then we have he, she, it. And he, she, it as has in the present tense, and in the past tense they had. So this is our to be and to have for this lesson. And at the bottom, we gave you a few examples of the subject, the present, as well as the past of. All right. And when it comes to our irregular past tense, right? All right. And before we continue and go on to aplusstudents.ca, the verb to be and the verb to have is irregular. All right. So the subject is I, and we say that our present tense is, for example, am. For example, I am going to the beach. And in the past tense, we can say I was at the beach, for example. All right. And then we also said it is he, she, it is, because now we're referring to either he is, she is talking, it is drinking. So when we look at the subject, it says I, you, we, they have or had, he, she, or it has or had. All right. So we said that when it comes to the verb tense, right, then the verb to be or the verb to have is already it's already all right. So now once again, if we have our subject, right, which is either I, he, she, it, you, were, and they. And remember, we use, as much as it say, we do not, when it comes to be as well as to have, we do not follow any rules. So, for example, we once again say, if we say I am, then we need to say I am, and we put a specific sentence. I am swimming, but in the past, I was swimming, right? So now we're going to aplusstudents.ca, and we are going to use the correct form of to be. All right, so now we are at to be, right? Where we said that to be is is irregular, right? So it's basically saying it's an irregular verb, and it does not follow any rules that most of the verbs follow. You're just gonna have to remember it, right? Like for example, I am, or we can say in the past, I was. He or she is, and in the past, they was, because we say it was, she was, he was. You are, or we say you were. So we say that I am is in the present tense and I was in the past tense. All right. So now, if we look at the sentences, right, we're going to now complete the sentence with the word past tense form of the be. All right. And if we look at an example, right, or an activity, it says we need to complete the sentence with the correct past tense form of to be. For example, it says they. All right. So now we're saying they. Look at this word they. So we can say they are brave on the first day of school, because we're basically just following the box. They are. All right, and here we say the verb to be is irregular. It does not follow the rules that most verbs follow. You're gonna have to remember the forms. We can even say once again, I am, or in the past we say I was. He or she or it is present currently. So we say they, we need to not say is it, for example, they am, they is, or they are. Yeah, they say they brave on the first day of school. Do we say they am brave, they is brave, or they are brave on the first day of school? All right. So we can say that with to be, they are. Like over here, we say they are brave on the first day of school. And that is basically like our verb, right? And if we go to our test, where we are going to go over to be to use the correct forms. Let's go to the test. And now we're also going to complete the sentence with the correct past tense. It says they, do we say they was busy on Saturday night or they were busy on Saturday night? They was busy or they were busy? All right, so now we say they. Do we say they was busy on Saturday night or do we say they were busy on Saturday night? All right, and now we say they. Do we say they was busy on Saturday night or do we say they were busy on Saturday night? All right, yes, and if we were to choose the correct option, then we would say they were, which is option two, busy on Saturday night. So well done. Option two is correct. All right, so option two was correct. Let's go to the next one. Do we say he is on the roof fixing the chimney or he are on the roof fixing chimneys? All right, and if we look at the correct one, yes, we can say he is. Option one, he is on the roof fixing the chimney. All right. So now we're going on and we say, yo, the best in one in the play. Or do we say you was the best in the play? You were or you was the best in one play. So we say you, do we say you were? All right. So now we say you, do we say you were? Or do we say you was the best one in the play? All right. Yes. So we will say you and we will choose option one, which is correct. You were the best one in the play. So yes, well done. Well done. All right. Now we're going on to have and to use the correct form, right? This is also where we need to, for example, look at the specific subject, and the subject will tell you maybe slightly what the present tense will be and what the past tense will be. Like, for example, if we have the subject which either refers to I, you, we, or they, then our present tense needs to be have. For example, I have, you have, we have, they have. And we can say that I have or had, you were or you have or had. And even if you look at the subject over here, she has and she had. All right, so we see that when it comes to the verb to have, then it's also irregular. All right, so now we're going on to, yet before we go on to our test, right, we're not going to look at the activity where we are going to, for example, select either our, we're either going to select, let's say, the present tense or the past tense. So we can say he. So here we say he. Do we say he had or he have an orange and an egg for breakfast? All right. The next one is she a nap after lunch. Do we say she has or she had? So she has a nap after lunch. He has a nap after lunch. It has a nap after lunch. So we can also say we have the same kind of notebook, or we can say we had the same kind of notebook. So which one is correct? We have the same kind of notebook, or we had the same kind of notebook. We need to, for example, write down the present tense of the word to have. What is the present tense? The now. Do we say we have the same kind of notebook, or we had? All right, so we can say if it's in the present tense, then we can say we have the same kind of notebook, or do we say we had the same kind of notebook? Then we'll go with option one, because option two is had. It means they already have it. She had a nap after lunch, or do we say she have a nap after lunch? Which one is correct? So she had a nap after lunch, or do we say she have a nap after lunch? We need to select the past tense. So here it says she had a nap after lunch. All right, so she had is correct. Let's do the last one. It says he. We need to choose the past tense. Do we say he have an orange and an egg for breakfast, or do we say he had an orange and an egg for breakfast? And if we were to choose our correct answer, we would say we had an orange and an egg for breakfast. Ah, we had. Oh, because they want us the past. Sorry, they want the past tense. I didn't check this. They want it in the past tense. It's actually we had. All right, let's do the last one. It says we still the present. This is the present tense verb. Do we say you had a beautiful voice or you have a beautiful voice? All right, so we can say you, if it's in the present tense, you have a beautiful voice. All right. So this is now the end of our lesson on to be and to have. We said that to be and to have, the verb is irregular. All right. So this is now the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, grade twos, for joining the class. And I really hope that you are going to have a good evening further. Goodbye. All right.